Red is the color of Persona 5. Red is one of the most visible, attention-grabbing colors. As such, it has been used to alert people to immediate dangers, which captures the mood and tone of the game. In addition to that, red can also be used to symbolize the rushing of blood and the vitality of fire, used to represent passion and freedom. Red is often used as the color of revolution, representing the blood the people are willing to spill to overthrow oppressive regimes. The game explores how freedom is obtained through rebellion, and how some are willing to give up their freedom in exchange for peace and stability. Rebellion is perhaps the biggest theme in Persona 5. Most of the villains are people in powerful positions abusing their power. The personas are first awakened when the wielder refuses to bow to the authority of the palace owner. There is an emphasis on fighting for what you believe is right, even if that goes against other people or even the law. But there is also the aspect of how the public reacts to social change. The red of Persona 5 symbolizes freedom and danger, stressing the impact, power, risk, and consequence of rebellion. From this point on, the video will have spoilers for the plot of Persona 5. If you don't want any spoilers, then please head out now. With that, let's begin. In Persona 5, the stakes are very real. The game touches upon some very dark story elements. The Shin Megami Tensei series has never shied away from controversial topics. However, there is a timeliness to the story as it reflects real-world controversies with issues like suicide, sexual harassment, child abuse, corruption, and scandals. Tackling these topics is tricky, but Atlus handles them with the appropriate gravitas and maturity. Shiho doesn't just bounce back from her suicide attempt, she has to switch schools due to her ruined reputation. We see how much she loses, but we also see her slowly piece herself back together. Oya is able to regain her resolve as a journalist and find her friend. However, their reunion is bittersweet, as the powerful people she was investigating was able to get to her. But we see Oya's determination as she continues to build up a case for her friend, even if this would mean putting her own life at risk from the corrupt politicians who would cover up the case. The dangers the characters face are ones that hit a little too close to home. In relation to that, the deadlines in Persona 5 are not some vague threat or someone else's life on the line. The deadlines threaten the main characters directly, so there is a greater sense of urgency whenever it has been set. The danger is also reflected in the shop owners. While they function exactly the same as previous titles, getting your supplies and gear from a back alley doctor and a shady-looking airsoft shop really adds to the roguish tone of the game. The mechanics of the game does a lot to give the main characters an air of deviousness. Puzzles become security measures, obtaining personas become a holdup. It really helps in portraying the Phantom Thieves as dangerous vigilantes. But what is a vigilante without a good adversary? A large part of Persona 5 is the villains. While they may be cartoonishly evil at times, they are figures that have real power and influence in the real world. The plot makes it clear that the palace owners are not to be trifled with, as they use everything from blackmail to the police force to threaten and destroy the Phantom Thieves. The opening scenes of the game are already reflective of how deep in trouble the protagonist is, as he is practically forced into writing a confession. But while the palace owners are dangerous, there is also an emphasis on standing up against them. Many of the main characters are made to feel small and helpless against the overwhelming authority of the palace owners. But when they refuse to be oppressed anymore, they realize how dangerous they can be as well. The Persona users have a power within them, but it is locked away because they are pressured to obey by society. Ryuji's hatred of Kamoshida is evident, but he is forced to keep his mouth shut not just by the teachers but by the sports team as well. Yusuke believes that it is his sacred duty to help his adopted father, even if this means allowing him to take credit for his artwork. Haru is being forced into an arranged marriage by her father, who claims that this is her duty as her daughter. But when they refuse to obey, that is when their power flares up, and the main characters hit the ground running as they jump into a fight almost immediately. The palace owners are visibly scared when they transform for the first time. Such is the nature of tyrants. When the people they rule refuse to be intimidated, they realize how fragile their grasp on power really is. Regardless of what other people are telling them, when they decide to do what they want, this is when they awaken to their power. Of course, it is not just the Phantom Thieves that pursue their desires. In the different confidant storylines, we learn that desire is not inherently evil. Yusuke realizes that desiring his art to be acknowledged by others is not necessarily a bad thing. He should make art for the sake of others to succeed. Futaba desires to explore the outside world and perhaps one day return to school, but this would require a great deal of change and growth on her part. Hifumi wants to be a successful shogi player and make the game more popular with women, but her mother undermines her honest efforts by fixing her matches. When desire becomes the sole focus of one's life, that is when they become corrupted desires. The palace themselves are manifestations of the palace owner's desires. Many of them had honest desires which became corrupted. Madarami's desire for the beauty of art became corrupted when he saw being famous and relevant as more important than being an artist. Kanashiro's desire to be respected led to him becoming more and more obsessed with money, believing that one equates to the other. Okumura's desire to rise above poverty led him to believe that success is the only thing important in the world. Sae's desire to provide for her and her sister led to her discarding her father's ideal and focusing solely on her career. Desire alone is not enough to sustain you. It is important to learn to rely on others to succeed in life. Akechi had nothing but his desire. He had so much in common with the Phantom Thieves, but because his life was filled with lies and hate, he could never trust them. He was always alone, and perhaps because of that, he couldn't fully understand his own desires. He didn't realize that he was jealous of the Phantom Thieves, seeing their reliance on each other as weakness. He follows Shido's orders, claiming that it is all part of a master plan to take down his father, but also yearns to be acknowledged by him. Shido may have realized this and used this against Akechi. Having nothing but your desire can make someone bitter and spiteful at the world. The only thing Akechi had is his desire for fame and his metaverse power. When his power failed him, and when he realized that he was going to lose his fame, he fell into despair. He couldn't see his own worth because he kept hoping to get this from Shido, who never saw him as anything more than a tool. However, Akechi understood what relying on others meant at the end, when he had to trust the Phantom Thieves to do something he wouldn't be able to. Many of the main characters and confidants are able to overcome their issues because they learn to lean on each other. Morgana was so focused on trying to become human that he left the Phantom Thieves when he thought they were straying away from his goal. But he eventually learns that his place is with the Phantom Thieves. Yoshida was offered a chance to join a prominent political party that could have gotten him re-elected. This would have salvaged his reputation, but also meant compromising his ideals. However, Joker supported him and his beliefs, and as such he was able to reject the offer. As he helps his cohorts and confidants, Joker learns something from them as well. In a city of so many people, it becomes important to find the right ones that can support you. From the opening sequence, the game conveys a kind of vibrant energy. Everyone seems to be unable to sit still and just wants to start running. Within the game itself, the city of Tokyo seems alive and exciting. From the busy city streets, the flashing neon, the surprises hidden in the back alleys, the whole world just wants you to dive in and start exploring. This gives it an interesting contrast with the Velvet Room. Recall that in Persona 3 and 4, the Velvet Room was always moving. In 3, it was an elevator. In 4, it is a limousine. But in 5, it is completely static, a prison cell, a location that specifically stops you from moving around. This energy, this movement, helps illustrate the theme of freedom. Like desire, freedom itself is not good or evil. It depends on how it is used. You can use freedom to do what you want, which is what the palace owners did. You could also use freedom to comply, which is what many people did. They did not question or stand up to the palace owners, for one reason or another, and because of this, the palace owners thrived. The main characters are forced into some sort of compliance, so the first thing the Phantom Thieves had to do was to take back their freedom. In refusing to recognize the authority of the palace owners, they rebel against them and overthrow them by stealing their corrupted desires. The Phantom Thieves are not the only rebels in the game. Many of the characters pursue what they believe is right, even if it is going against what is acceptable. Iwai turns his back on the Mafia to give his adopted child a normal life, even if he knew his past would return to haunt him. Kei persists in furthering her own research by making her own drugs to cure her patients, even if this got her discredited before, though we do learn later on that she was turned into a scapegoat. Sojiro takes Futaba away from her family after he learns that they were abusing her. Since Sojiro is not related to Futaba in any way, this could be considered illegal, something that Futaba's relatives use as leverage over him. They may have been trying to do the right thing, but their actions do have repercussions. When the Phantom Thieves steal hearts, it does bring about a change, but it is not without consequence. Many of the palace owners were respected figures, and people could not imagine such paragons as capable of such atrocities. So when the truth is revealed, it shocks society. As the palace crumbles, so too does the structure of deception and lies that have been used to cover up their crimes, and all accessories have suddenly come under fire. This reveals the cracks in society, and this makes people anxious when they realize so many horrible things are happening right in their neighborhood. The Phantom Thieves do what they believe is right, and there is a variety of reactions towards this. Many people are elated that someone is standing up to the evils of the world. Some are concerned since what the Phantom Thieves are doing could be argued as mind control. Some are just in it for the memes. But a greater amount of people are concerned since they are such a destabilizing element. The mental shutdowns were already causing panic, but the Phantom Thieves were grander, more extravagant, and more visible. They were in the headlines and people talked about them. Because of the uncertainty of the Phantom Thieves and the apparent inability of the police and government to do anything about them, the public became anxious. They desperately sought some form of stability, even if it was someone as shady as Shido, who would feed their fear to secure their support. The achievement guide reveals that each one of the palaces was based on one of the 7 deadly sins, with the addition of vanity. Mementos is the palace of sloth. The collective desire of people to be ruled over gives the god of control power. Perhaps this is why it is in the form of a train station. The train is used by the populace in their daily lives, and they cannot control where the train goes. Mementos is a prison where the shadow selves of the populace have been reformed, stripping them of their desires. When Mementos merged with the real world, the people did not even notice the change. Their desire for safety and security clouded their senses and made them blind to reality. The only ones who did see the change are the Phantom Thieves and their confidants, the ones who still rebel. The Wings of Rebellion are an important aspect of the game. It is a person's determination, their anger, their defiance, their desire to change things. It is what gives the Phantom Thieves their power. However, when faced with an overwhelming enemy, and the fact that many find freedom to be such a burden and seek peace through control, they lost their power as they despaired at the futility of their actions. But when each one remembered that they do what they do, not because other people desire it, but because they themselves desire it, whether it is to pursue the truth, grow as a person, or stop others from suffering as they have, each one regains the Wings of Rebellion. As the Phantom Thieves unravel the power of Yaldabaoth, people start realizing what is happening and start panicking. But Mishima is able to use the fan site to rally everyone in opposition of the God of Control. Persona 5 shows us that a tyrant only has power if everyone bows down and never speaks up. Fear and comfort are powerful tools to sway the masses, to make them forget what they are capable of. It is no wonder then why the God of Control had to rig the game against the trickster. The greatest threat to tyranny is one person standing up. Thanks for watching. If you are curious about the blue of Persona 3 or about other symbols in Persona 5, check the cards. I might do another video on the yellow of Persona 4, so consider subscribing. As usual, this video is subjective, so feel free to share your thoughts and interpretations in the comments below. So as you reach out to the truth, there will be those who would stop you, so cause some mass destruction and give them their last surprise. Until our paths cross again, see you, Phantom Thief.